Thank you. A warm welcome to those attending and also to our viewers watching live on Council's YouTube channel, Hillingdon, London. Details of the business to be considered today is shown on the agenda, copies of which are available in the room, and it's also accessible online under live broadcast. For those of you present in the room and intending to speak, please note that you will be filmed and any statements you make will be recorded and made public. For those solely observing in the room today, you may wish to know that the camera is angled away from the public gallery where you are sitting. At the end of the public part of the meeting, when the committee moves to discuss any confidential matters, the live broadcast on YouTube will be cut. A reminder to anyone speaking today that your voice will only be audible online if the microphone is switched on, and you will know when it's switched on by the red button. Fire alarm. We are not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm does go off, please follow the officers to the fire exits and out of the building to be meet at the designated meeting points. Mobile and tablet devices. For those in the room, please switch off any mobile devices now or put them on silent. Please note that councillors on the committee may use their laptops or tablets during the meeting to view the agenda pack. Residents' feedback forms. If you are so minded, can you please complete one of the yellow residents' feedback forms? The information on these forms is intended to help us improve the way that we run our meetings. Forms can be completed and left in the room for collection after the meeting or completed and returned by post to the addressee on the form. If you are watching on YouTube, you can also complete the form online and there is a link below the live broadcast. Declarations of interest. Please ensure that you identify which item you have an interest in. Whether your interest is pecuniary or non-pecuniary, and give reason that you have an interest. Members need not declare an interest if any item on the agenda where they have already listed this interest on the register of interest. Furthermore, you do not need to declare an interest just because you are, for example, a ward councillor. So, we will start by going through the agenda. So do we have any apologies of absence?
No apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest concerning the matters coming before this meeting? No? Just to confirm that the items of business are all marked in Part 1 and will be considered public, and we don't have any items marked in Part 2 for private. Right, okay. We're going to go through the order of proceedings and applications. We just go through introductions. I'm Councillor Becky Haggart. I'm chairing this meeting today, and we will go through on my right-hand side with everyone present.
Good afternoon. My name's Mrs. Chantal McLeod. I'm the legal advisor for today's subcommittee hearing.
Councillor Darren Davies, Vice Chairman of this committee.
Councillor Kuldeep Lakmana, and I'm a member of the Licensing Committee.
Good afternoon, PC Penny Brown from the Metropolitan Police Licensing Team.
Good afternoon, David Butler, Police Constable, Metropolitan Police Licensing Team.
Daniel Ferrer, Licensing Authority, here as a responsible authority.
Jamie McCarthy, Noise and Nuisance Officer.
Craig Lloyd, Noise and Nuisance Officer.
Noel Samaru, NTAD Consultants, here to represent the Prince of Wales.
Mohammed Hassan, the licence holder.
Sheikh Shiraz Ahmed, I'm the managing the business.
Good afternoon, Lois King, Principal Licensing Officer.
Good afternoon. Liz Penny, Democratic Services Officer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your introductions. My apologies, you've got one mic and you're all sharing it. I do apologise. Just before we commence the meeting today and before the licensing officer begins her presentation, Lois, I have been informed that there has been a late submission of new evidence by the applicant, and the bundle of evidence, which I believe is quite large, I haven't actually seen it yet, but I believe it's quite large, was received yesterday, Sunday the 2nd of June, 2024 at 8:30 p.m. Having sought legal advice, I understand that with the Licensing Act 2003 and the Hearings Regulation, it does give us the discretion to consider the information. I've also been advised to have regards to Hillingdon's hearing protocol, which states that the subcommittee will not normally allow the submission of new written evidence not previously submitted, and any application to have new material considered should demonstrate exceptional reasons for its submission. So what I'm saying basically is the evidence that you've brought now, the late evidence, must have exceptional reason to have been put in the pack at this late notice. With this in mind, we're going to not go through the protocol just here, and we're just going to stop a minute. And can I ask you to explain why the bundle is a big bundle, and also why it's relevant? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for bringing that up. The reason the bundle was late is that, as you're aware, under the Act, there's an application that goes before licensing, which gives 28 days for representations. The police chose to wait until the 28th day to actually submit their representation, which had 28 days prior to do so. We had a meeting. I then spoke to the Metropolitan Police a couple of days later, and I was told that unfortunately Penny was on a course, and we would receive their representation in due course. We received the representations from everybody as a bundle about 7 or 8 days ago. Due to other commitments I had, it was very difficult for me to get the clerk in chambers to put all this together and paginate it. So I've spent the last 3 days trying to put it all together and get it to you before today's hearing. Hence why you received it at 8 o'clock last night. I'm also apologise that you received it in 2 parts, as you quite rightly said, it's quite a big bundle. But it is very relevant to this hearing because a lot of the bundle contains documents that you would need to see for us to be able to answer some of the questions that have been raised for this hearing on why we're here. So I do apologise for it being late, and I do understand the concerns that the committee might have and to other members here. But there was no other way that we could get the information to you that would have been relevant to this hearing without actually sending you bits and pieces which wouldn't have really made a lot of sense to you, without trying to paginate it in some form. And again, I apologise that it's not numbered properly or paginated correctly, but my IT skills are not that great. So I've done the best job I could in such a short space of time.
Thank you. Can I just ask also a little bit for clarification here about why it's important at this last stage? Now, I know you said it's obviously because of the police submission, but also you were saying that there's some other important bits in here. Why were they not drafted out at the beginning when we asked for the paperwork?
The reason they weren't was obviously in the representations that we received, there were some points that were being questioned as to things like the training, the incident book, whether we had Sky TV, whether we had paid for PPL and PRS, all that information had to be put together. If I just sent it to you in bits and pieces, without trying to make it relevant to the representation that we received, it wouldn't have made no sense. And you'd have been coming back to me and saying, what's this, what's that for? So hence we tried to keep it together and send it as a bundle that would have made more sense to this committee. That was the only reason.
So how I'm understanding it is that some of the questions that you anticipate will come in are answered in here, that it's vital information that's in this pack that will answer or respond to the questions that we have. That's how I'm hearing. So it's no new evidence as such. It's just a response that you believe might be coming through from questions. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was trying to save time because I know that some committees only allow 15 minutes. And because the representations were quite wide and varied, trying to save some time, we put it on paper that you could have had an opportunity to have a look through it, which would have answered a lot of the questions that are actually raised in the representations. I could have just come here with it and tried to present it bits and pieces, but that would have taken maybe 4 hours, and I'm sure we don't really sit there for 4 hours. So.
Thank you. I think just to state again that it was very late. None of us have had a chance to obviously read this because we have had a committee meeting already this morning. So it has just not been available for us to read. So we wouldn't normally accept that, and it is late. I just want to make that really clear. But thank you very much for submitting it. Okay, so basically you're saying there are exceptional reasons, and you have stated those as to why we should consider the pack and put it into our subcommittee meeting today. Councillors, can I ask whether you have any further clarification? So I just want to be very clear here because it's not a discussion. Clarification or observation on the application and the new evidence, which I'm sure you probably haven't seen either as yet. So thank you. Councillor Davis?
I've not had a chance to read it. I can't give a fair and balanced decision without reading this paperwork. Personally, workload, etc. This committee should have been a priority for the business. If it is incident logs, they should have been available to hand. We shouldn't have had to wait this long. So I would say we need to review this pack at the moment before I make any further comment.
Thank you, Chair. My comments are the same as my colleague here, that I would like to have sight of that, which we haven't as yet, to make a fair decision.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go over to the responsible authorities, and the same with the responsible authorities, so just to make it clarification and observation.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I echo what the other councillors have said. I've obviously not seen this paperwork either, so it wouldn't be very fair to comment further without having seen it first. I'd like the opportunity to be able to do so.
Likewise, Chair.
Similar comments, Chairman, for me. I haven't seen the paperwork of the submissions.
Yeah, without seeing it, I wouldn't be able to comment, so I'd have to see it.
I would echo those comments. We'd have to see the paperwork prior. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And also interested parties. Do we have any interested parties?
We have Jan Hopper.
Would you like to speak?
Obviously, I've not seen the pack.
Okay. I'm sorry, just because you won't be on mic. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I haven't seen the pack either, but I'm assuming it's all fairly simple stuff. It's applicable to every other licence. So, yeah.
Okay, but you haven't seen the pack?
No, I've not seen the pack.
Right.
Chair, if I just may say, I have brought some copies of it, and if everyone else is happy, I can just refer to it as to answer the questions that came up in the representations, if that helps.
Thank you very much for your offer, but I think we'll come back. We're going to deliberate about whether or not to accept the new evidence, so that's the first thing we need to do, because I said at the beginning we're not obliged to do that. So we're going to actually, first of all, see whether we're going to accept the new evidence or not. If we do determine to allow this late submission, there's also the option for the committee of adjourning the hearing. Okay, so we have the option of adjourning the hearing to enable us all parties, to sufficiently consider the bundle in full. Because it is quite a hefty, but I haven't looked at it yet, as same as my colleague, so I don't really know. So we need to look at it first, we need to come together, look at it first and see. So what we will do is we'll adjourn the meeting. If everyone could obviously go outside, and we will discuss whether we're going to accept it. Is that, yes?
Should we go out, because there's only us three, and leave everyone sitting here?
That would be easier. Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Councillors, if I just may ask, if the committee chooses to adjourn this meeting, under the Act, does that allow us to have some sort of mediation now that we have seen the evidence and the police and the council will have seen ours? There may be some room for mediation between us, and then this hearing may not be necessary.
But we have to have a look at the...
Potentially, but as we do have to have a look at that. I think the first, let's go step-by-step process, if that's okay with you. We're going to first of all discuss whether we're going to accept it first. So let's do step-by-step first.
All right.
Let's not run off, let's step-by-step. Thank you very much.
Thank you.